reports how tough it is not to be able to pull this one out after the way you guys fought, the way you did.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it was another game where we fought really hard and came just a little bit short. And like I said before, they hurt really bad. And, I wanted so bad for these guys in the locker room, and I told Hawk and Joe Thomas and guys like that I told them I'm giving them everything I have every time because I want it for them so bad, and they deserve it, as do the rest of the guys on the team. We put in so much work and we work so hard, and we come so close, and we just got to learn to finish. And that's on me, and that's on just us as a team, just being able to finish when we get down to the end, and being able to be more consistent throughout the entire game.
Cody, you took a lot of really hard hits in this game. How hard was it to keep getting up after that?
Yeah, there was a lot of hits, and but that's football. It's a violent game, and some of them hurt, but I just, like I told you earlier in the week about my brother, and he's fighting through. And I told him, and unless they force me to stay out like they did last week, I'm not coming out. And it was tough, and it was a little painful, but at the same time, you want to do it for the guys as well. My brother was at home watching, and I'm out here with these guys that have been playing in the NFL for a long time and have taken much worse hits than I did today. And so it's more so not for myself, but it's for the guys around me.
Hey, Cody, you had gotten to within a point by halftime, and you get the ball at the start of the second half. What do you think went so quiet with that offense in the third quarter?
Yeah, it was tough. We were trying to get the running game going, and they were doing a great job of containing us there, and doing a great job in coverage. And they were getting us in some third and longs, and we got to do a better job of winning on first and second down to set us up for some better chances on third down. But we also, when we were playing the field position game, I felt like through that stretch, and it seemed that we were always kind of getting backed up, and we were starting on our 20 or inside the 20, but. There's no excuse. We still got to put drives together like we did at the end of the half. That was a great drive to build off of, and I wish we could have came out and had some more momentum going in the third quarter and throughout that third quarter going into the fourth. But our guys kept fighting, and they fought through as much as they could. And unfortunately, we come up a little bit short. But like I said, we got to put together a full game and be more consistent.
When you got the ball down 15, did you know if you had scored a touchdown, you were going to go for 2 right there?
Yeah, I knew we had to go for 2 at some point, either that one or the next one. But I think just the way our offense was rolling, we had a really good rhythm on that drive, and we drove down the field and had worked on obviously 2-point plays all week, and unfortunately, we didn't convert there. But at some point, we had to go for 2, and I felt that was the right time as well. And then Coach Jackson called in. We were rolling. We had a great rhythm going. We drove down the field, and unfortunately, we didn't convert, and that kind of hurt us there at the end. But at some point we were going to have to go for 2, and like I said, we had a great drive there, and I think the rhythm was going. We wanted to continue to go.
What happened on the 2-point conversion play?
They just played it well. We were hoping to get man coverage, and we had a fade to Terrell, and they played it well. They played off on him and dropped everybody underneath on that. And I tried to scramble, make something happen. Ricardo flashed open, but unfortunately, they were kind of double teaming TP, and they fell off on Ricardo. But it's just they had a great call there, and they dropped into it.
When you said you worked on 2-point plays all week, more than usual?
No, it's just when you have short yardage, goal line, those type of situations, you always want to work on your 2 or 3 2-point plays, and there it was an important 2-point play, and unfortunately we didn't convert. But yeah, that's why you work on it all week, and you want to be, when you get in those situations, you want to convert, and unfortunately they made us stop.
How much tougher does your job become when that running game is not yours?
I think my job becomes maybe, I guess, more important because they're loading the box, and we're a good running team, and it puts more pressure on me, to make those throws, to loosen them up, and that's something that we've taken a lot of pride in. Is we're a great running team. We've run the football great. These first 6 weeks. Obviously, like I said last week, we had a little bit of a speed bump, but at the same time, that's a lot of it's on me. I got to be efficient with the ball. I got to make the right throws. I got to get them to loosen up. That way, they can play more zone. We can run the football. But they did a great job. They have a great front 7, and they played well. And they had some great calls on defense, and a lot of it was on me to make some more plays in the pass game. This week to hopefully loosen that up for the weeks to come.
There is thinking out there that if you go for 1, and it's an 8-point game, it's still just 1 possession.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you go for 2 early and miss, you got 2 possessions and 2 minutes to go.
Yeah. But you have to go 2 point. You have to go for 2 points at some point. And that's the reality of it. If you're down 15, you can't get an extra point each time. You got to go for 2. And at that time, like I said, we were rolling, and we should have converted. You know, I should have made a play and I should have made a better throw. And you know, that was a great call by Coach Jackson, and it's on me to execute the play. And you know, they had, like I said, called a great defense on that play, and I tried to make something happen. But you know, it's at the end of the day, you know, if we get that, then that's not the question. So you got to be able to convert on one of those, and that's on me. I got to execute that play, and we got to convert the 2-point conversion.
Cody, what can you say about Pryor and the connection you had with him, especially late?
Yeah, he's done a great job, and you know, I told him after the game, and a lot of the guys just said, I appreciate you guys, you know, not giving up on me and still fighting with me the whole time, and you know, not checking out. You know, we were down 15, and you know, in the fourth quarter, and those guys were in the huddle and locked in and excited, and we kept going, and you know, they kept trusting me. We kept making plays going down the field, and you know, Terrell, Hawk, Ricardo made some great plays in this game, and you know, for us, like I said, you just want to be able to finish and put a complete game together. But you know, you can never question the heart of this football team and the way these guys fight.
Could you just talk a little bit about what you've been going through personally and how your brother's doing?
Yeah. My brother, yeah, he's doing better. He had a heart condition, and it was, you know, I with Mary, I did an article earlier this week, and you know, it was just a proud thing for me, and I really appreciate that too. And I was just getting to talk about him. He's been, you know, through a lot in his life, and you know, he had a heart condition last week, and you know, it scared me, and I was you know, very frightened about that. But they got on top of him in time. He's doing better, but he can't do anything for 2 months. You know, he misses football. He can't play football the rest of the time, and you know, it's just been tough on him. But you know, his name's Dylan, and I've been so proud of him though, the way he's handled everything, and he hasn't complained. He hasn't, you know, gotten down or been depressed. He's been up and going to the games and going to practices, and you know, sitting there with his heart monitor on and doing as much as he can. So that plays a big part, you know, in my role, and obviously, you know, I lost my grandma earlier this week, who was, you know, like another mom to me, and you know, this is the first game that she didn't get to see me play, which was tough. But yeah, it's just, you know, stuff that you can't control, and you just got to move on.
Good? Thanks.
Thank
Cody.
you.